Good afternoon. It is lunchtime. It is Thursday afternoon, and Middlesbrough's fixtures are out for the new season. Of course, this is the point when things start to get really, really exciting for the new campaign. A lot of supporters, like myself, have probably been having a bit of a break from Middlesbrough Football Club. Of course, last season was a bit of a whirlwind, particularly towards the end, with everything that went on with Spygate and the run to the playoff final and getting knocked out of the playoffs and then being reinstated to the playoffs and then heading to Wembley on that sun-kissed day. It's another very sun-kissed day at the moment, absolutely boiling hot here. And I think all of those things combined meant that I, for one, was certainly ready for just a few weeks off football, really. But I think you do get to this point, you do get to the middle of June, towards the end of June, and you do start to think, God, I miss Middlesbrough. Even though the World Cup's on, it's one of these situations where, for me, it's all about club football. The World Cup's great. I've enjoyed it. The kickoff times have maybe spoiled it for me a little bit. I've got two young kids, so staying up late at night is just impossible for me, just due to the extreme tiredness that you have with young children. But all eyes have been on Middlesbrough's new season, waiting for that to happen. And today, things just seem to have got one step closer with that new season very much in sight now. Now, the time currently is nearly 12:15. At 12 o'clock, the big news was revealed on social media, and that was because the EFL Championships fixtures for the upcoming season were released. Now, if we go to this is our first game of the season, and that is going to be at home against Lincoln City. Lincoln City, who got promoted from League One last season. A side that probably could have been quite a generous sort of home game, you've got to say, for Middlesbrough. I think you do want to go into the opening game of the season with a fixture that's going to be winnable, but I guess there are debates around this and what is the perfect game to have on the opening weekend of the season, because Lincoln City will be absolutely flying high on confidence after securing promotion last season. Their fans will be well up for this one. This will be their first opportunity in the Championship, so they'll travel in numbers to the Riverside Stadium for what will be a big game. And so for Kim Hellberg's side, it will be a massive test, one that we will be favourites for on paper, you've got to say, but I do think it could be a tricky one, because there's always a bit of an upsurge in form from promoter teams going into the new season. And I think that Lincoln City could offer exactly that on that opening weekend. Now, the match is going to kick off at 3 o'clock on the first Saturday of the season, that first weekend. So that's Saturday, the 15th of August. That's going to be televised live on Sky Sports, as are all of the games across the Championship weekend. And this is the only date currently that is set in stone, because Sky will, as we know, they will take their pick of the televised fixtures over the course of the season. I think the first full batch of televised fixtures, I think, is due to be announced by July the 2nd. So around about a week to wait, not too long. And that's when we'll start to find out when these matches are going to start taking place, when games are going to start being moved to Friday nights and Saturday lunchtimes and that sort of thing. But as it stands at the moment, this is the first game of the season. This is the one kickoff time that we know for certain, and that's that Middlesbrough are going to be facing Lincoln City on the opening weekend at the Riverside Stadium, in what is going to be a really eagerly anticipated game. I think a lot of fans will be really looking forward to this one as an opening game of the season, because I think it could be a really, really entertaining game. Lincoln love to play attacking football. As I said, they'll be really high on confidence coming into this one. And so I think it could be a really, really exciting game. Now let's go on to the full fixture list, so we can get our teeth stuck into that. So as you can see here, this is the full fixture list that's been released by Middlesbrough Football Club at lunchtime today. Every fixture between now and the end of the season listed there. And you've got to say that, probably looking at the first few games, it's probably fairly gentle, you've got to say. So we've mentioned about Lincoln City, so it's worth mentioning as well that the actual first competitive game of the season will be the Carabao Cup first round match, which takes place weirdly on the weekend before. So that's going to be Saturday the 8th, or the weekend of that, where Middlesbrough will play the first round of the Carabao Cup. Now that's going to be drawn later on today. If you are watching this live, of course, it's around about 12:20 now. It's going to be around about 4:30, I believe, the draw starts for the Carabao Cup. So certainly by tea time tonight, we'll know who we're going to be playing in that real first game of the season in the Carabao Cup on Saturday the 8th. But the first Championship game is the following week, Saturday the 15th, with Lincoln City at home. That's going to be followed by an away trip to face Blackburn Rovers at Ewood Park. Now, Blackburn are a side who have struggled a little bit in the last couple of seasons, but of course, this summer they're going to have a new man in the dugout, and that man is none other than Middlesbrough legend Tony Mowbray. He's taken charge at Blackburn Rovers, a really, really popular figure in Lancashire, just as he is in Middlesbrough. So that's going to be a really entertaining one. He'll certainly have that team organised and have them putting in a really good performance against Middlesbrough. So it might not be the sort of troubled ground. There might be some optimism and stuff there, which there hasn't been the last couple of times that we've headed to Ewood Park. So that's going to be a tricky one. At home against West Bromwich Albion, Saturday the 29th. As I said before, these dates are all TBC, barring the Lincoln City game once Sky get their claws into this one. So West Bromwich Albion on Saturday the 29th of August, and that's a home fixture. And following that, we've got probably our first big test of the season, and that is going to be a Wednesday night trip to face Burnley at Turf Moor. First game that we're going to be playing against one of the other relegated sides. Of course, there's a lot of speculation about their manager at the moment, what's going to be going on there. They're going to be looking for, well, they are still currently looking for a new boss going into the season. It did seem like Craig Bellamy was going to be getting that job. It looked like he was going to be leaving Wales and taking charge there, but I did see this morning that move seems to have broken down for some reason. I haven't actually looked into it too much, but that seems to have broken down. It seems like there could be a couple of other contenders on their list, none of Rob Edwards being one of them. So potentially that could be the first time that we come face to face with Rob Edwards going into the new season. Probably unlikely. There's probably better candidates out there, I say, with a little bit of gritted teeth after last season. So that'll be an interesting one. Heading to Burnley, that'll be a real test heading there, because Burnley will be undoubtedly one of the other favourites to go up this season. We'll do another video at some point about the promotion runners and riders and that sort of thing. But Burnley undoubtedly will be up there. They will be one of the sides who are going to be looking to try and get promoted this season. I firmly expect them to be in and around the top two. They always seem to be. They are the typical yo-yo team in the Championship. So I do expect them to be right up there, depending on who the manager is that comes in and depending what they do with the squad. But I do expect them to be quite solid. The fifth game is going to be a QPR away, and that's heading down to Loftus Road, Saturday the 5th of September. Again, another fairly gentle one. So when you are looking at that first 5 games, the Burnley one is a tricky one. I think the other games are a little bit more gentle. And then I guess as the season rolls on, just to rattle through them. So you've got Millwall and Norwich, double header. That's going to be tricky. You've got Birmingham. You start to get into a little bit of a tougher run of fixtures here with Millwall, Norwich, Birmingham, Wolves. Sort of easier October, you've got to say. Looking at it, looking through for key dates. I mean, what the main dates that people will be looking for. And yes, we don't have any geographical rivals this season, but I think Southampton is definitely going to be the one that we're going to be looking for. It's going to be the one that Southampton supporters are looking for. I'm sure it's going to be the one that Sky Sports will be looking for as well. God forbid, I can't even imagine what the coverage is going to be like on that after the way that last season ended with Spygate and the other playoffs. And of course, there's a huge amount of uncertainty around them at the moment and who's actually going to be leading them at the moment. It still seems like it's going to be Tonderecker, which is just absolute madness to me. That's just, I can't even fathom the fact that as it stands at the moment, he's keeping his job after everything that happened with Spygate, the fact that he was very much the ringleader in it. Of course, those really weird statements that came out from the club, that really long interview, that piece to camera that he did where he didn't really seem to blink a lot in it, which was quite unnerving as a viewer. Somehow he is still in charge. As it stands at the moment, it looks like he's going to be in charge going into this season. So the first time that we will come face to face with Southampton is on the weekend of the 28th of November. That's a trip down to St Mary's, which will be interesting. I'm sure Southampton's fans will make us feel really, really welcome when we head down there. It'll also be really interesting to see whether Dom Shaw is the man selected at the Northern Echo to head down there, because probably not the most popular man on the South Coast at the moment, even if he is adored by Middlesbrough fans for his wonderful moments in that press conference, asking Tonderecker if he was a cheat. As it turns out, he was, even though they took real umbrage to it at that point. But interesting to see whether Dom gets the job of heading down to Southampton. Could be quite interesting if he does. But certainly the Southampton fans will make that quite hostile for us. The return leg, Southampton coming to the Riverside Stadium, where we're starting to look towards the back end of the season for that. So that's scheduled for Saturday the 13th of March at the moment at the Riverside Stadium. Of course, there's going to be a huge amount of football to be played by then. We don't know exactly what the season is going to look like by the time we get to that point. Is it going to be another battle between two sides going for promotion? I certainly hope so. I think Southampton will be well up there, and hopefully Middlesbrough will be as well. Will Tonderecker still be in charge? And will the animosity that we all felt towards the end of last season still be there by March? I reckon it will be, because this is the closest thing that we've got to a derby or a rivalry this season. So I think that's going to be a really, really interesting one. But yeah, I mean, you look elsewhere in the table. So of course, there's a number of key dates for people to look out for. Let's have a little look at this. So this is the festive fixtures posted by Middlesbrough. Excuse me. So yeah, Saturday the 19th of December at home to Portsmouth. Boxing Day and away. I'm struggling with my vision here. Boxing Day, heading to Sheffield United, so heading to Bramall Lane. So a fairly nearby one. That'll be a good away day, that one. I think there'll be a good following, as there always is with Middlesbrough. But certainly on Boxing Day, I think that'll be a really good fixture for fans to get their teeth stuck into. It's always a great atmosphere on Boxing Day. It's a football tradition, isn't it, in this country? I mean, for me personally, it's one of these matches where you spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day just at home. Everything's been a bit chaotic. Sometimes it's just nice on Boxing Day to get out, get to the football, get some fresh air. It might be a bit cold, have a beer, that sort of thing. It's a really, really good way to spend Boxing Day. So I think it's certainly a trip to Sheffield United will be a really, really good one. 29th of December, Tuesday, home to Bolton Wanderers. And then on New Year's Day, is that Preston North End? Is that what my eyes say? I think it is. Preston North End on New Year's Day at home at the Riverside Stadium. So a few games over the Christmas period, which are probably winnable, which will be good for Middlesbrough. I think that will be a positive thing, that we can hopefully get some points during that time. If we look towards the back end of the other season, so this is the run-in for Middlesbrough. So of course, this season was hugely dramatic. Middlesbrough trying to get promoted to the Premier League. We've been in the top two for that record number. What was it, 227 days, something like that. Been in the top two, started to fall away. You can see here that it is probably around the Easter sort of time when things do really start to take shape in the Championship table. So on the Saturday, 3rd of April, we've got Portsmouth. We've got Millwall on the Tuesday, the 6th. So that could be a really, really difficult crunch fixture based on this season. Home match against QPR, a trip to West Bromwich Albion. The final 3 games, really quite tricky there, really. A home match against Burnley on Tuesday, the 20th of April. That's going to be a tough one. The final home game of the season is against West Ham United on the weekend of Saturday, the 24th of April. And then the final game of the season is a trip to South Wales to face Swansea City in a match which hopefully Middlesbrough might have already got promoted by that point. But that'll be a long trip, but hopefully a game which is winnable. I think, predicting it at this point, I mean, I wouldn't expect Swansea City to be up there in the promotion places. They seem like a side will be quite safe in mid-table, quite a nice side to play against as well. So it could be the ideal sort of last game of the season, particularly if we do have something that we need to get out of it. So that's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, difficult run in that, really. Those last 2 home games, you've got to think that they're going to be going to have a massive say in how Middlesbrough season plays out. If we are looking to get promoted, a home match against Burnley and then a home match against West Ham, pretty much as tough as you can get. I think both of those sides will be battling away at the top of the Championship, possibly going up automatically as well. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens there with those 2 games. But yeah, but look back at the overall fixture list. So yeah, first 5 games: Lincoln City, Blackburn Rovers, West Brom, Burnley, and QPR. I want to know from you what you think about those first 5 games. Are they winnable games for Middlesbrough? Is that a pretty ideal start? For me, it looks quite decent. Burnley away is a tricky game, but the rest of those games do seem quite winnable. So maybe drop into the comments below. Let me know what you think, and whether you think that we could get maximum points in those games, or if not, how many points do you think that we can get from those 5 games? Just looking at it now, so Lincoln City, I think we could win. Blackburn, we could win. To be honest, I could easily see us getting 10 or 12 points from those 15 available. That's taken into account a possible defeat against Burnley, but of course that does depends how quickly they adapt to life and back in the Championship. It's always a bit of a mental struggle for teams when they come down, and they've got to adapt back to life in the second tier. And of course, if they are going to have a new manager in charge, that can sometimes take a little bit of time. That can take some time for them to adapt and really get into the swing of things. We saw it this season with, of course, Leicester with their own case with their financial problems, but Southampton took a long while to get going. Ipswich took a long while to get going as well, but both of those ultimately managed to rise up to the top end of the table. But it'll be interesting to see how how Burnley get on in those first few weeks, to see whether they do hit the ground running. To head up, I guess, to maintain a strong start to the championship season. So just having a little browse through for other notable dates in there. We mentioned about Southampton, so trip to the London Stadium on Tuesday, the 8th of December. So an evening kickoff. That'll be a decent game. That one, I think West Ham will be right up there this season. It'll be interesting to see who they've got playing for them this season, how strong their squad is. It'll be interesting to see what the atmosphere is like at the London Stadium as well, because it's been a bit of a ghost town in the Premier League. But it'll be interesting to see whether a few wins in the Championship can kind of get things going, or whether it will be that problem where they just can't generate any atmosphere whatsoever. And of course, Middlesbrough fans will go there and we'll make our voices heard, which will be interesting as well. Looking elsewhere, so it looks like quite a. I think first impressions are that it's a fairly gentle start to the season. Probably quite a tricky run-in, you've got to say, particularly those last two home games, which look absolutely brutal. Going to have a little look on social media to see what else is being said about these games. As I said before, the fixtures will be announced in the next week for what games are going to be going on. What's going to be going on Sky Sports? I think they're due to be announced by the 2nd of July. So only a week to go. Which will be interesting. So it'll be interesting to see how those dates change. The run-in, very, very difficult as far as I'm concerned. And of course, we are waiting to hear on what team Middlesbrough will be facing in the Carabao Cup on that first weekend of the season, Saturday the 8th of August. That'll be the first proper game of the season. Of course, we've got a friendly at the Riverside Stadium the week before. Middlesbrough, of course, announced that friendly against Celtic as well, which would be a really, really exciting one. That's Saturday, the 18th of July, where Middlesbrough fans will be heading up to Glasgow. I was there last season when we went up to Ibrox for the match with Rangers. It was just a wonderful day out. I think fans were really, really up for it. I think, like I was saying at the start of this video, you do get to a point at this point in the summer where you're just kind of chomping at the bit for the new season to start. I mean, the World Cup's great. I mean, it's entertaining. It's something for me to tide you over, but for me, it's all about club football. And so you do get to this point, it is all about looking forward to the new season and what that will bring. And I think certainly an away friendly like that one against Celtic, I think that'll be a really, really good day out. There's 10,000 tickets that Middlesbrough have been given. So God, what a following that's going to be. It'll be a really, really good atmosphere. Celtic, of course, won the league last season. Martin O'Neill has been appointed as their manager once again. Signed another 1-year contract there, so that'll be an interesting one. And it'll be good to see how Middlesbrough get on, how Kim Hellberg's side get on, and of course it'll be a first opportunity really for fans to take a look at how the team is shaping up ahead of the new season. I won't go into it in too much detail here, but of course there's going to be a lot of transfer business going on this summer. Kim Hellberg's going to have a lot of work to do with this squad. There's going to be a number of new players coming in. 1 or 2 new goalkeepers, a left back. To replace Matt Targett, at least a couple of central midfielders, Hayden Hackney, likely to be moving on. Of course, there's been a lot of interest in him from Everton and Crystal Palace. Nothing's happened yet, but you'd imagine that by the time we get to the start of those games against Lincoln City and that Carabao Cup game, that Hayden Hackney will probably have moved on. And the interest has been there early on, and so it's probably only a matter of time before a deal gets done for him. But Middlesbrough will need 2 central midfielders at least. We'll need to replace Hayden Hackney, and then we'll probably need to replace Alan Brown as well. He went back to Sunderland. Reports from the Northern Echo have said that he's highly unlikely to be coming back to Middlesbrough, probably due to wages and that sort of thing. And then, of course, you're looking at the attacking area of the pitch, which is the key problem for Middlesbrough. It's where Middlesbrough fell short last season, that run of home fixtures where we just weren't able to break teams down. We were creating opportunities. We just had no one to put them in the back of the net. And I think that's the problem. I think that's something that Middlesbrough will need to address. I think that's something that Middlesbrough will address. Kim Hellberg will have his plans on how he wants to shape that attack. And it could be, according to reports, it could be that there might be 4 or 5 attacking players coming in. Of course, you'd imagine that Morgan Whittaker will stay. You'd imagine that Tommy Conway will stay, although, of course, we'll have to keep an eye on his injury to see whether he's fit at the start of the season. David Strelec is going to be an interesting one. Will he be given enough a chance to show what he's capable of? There's clear quality there, but we didn't really see the best of him last season. But then there's a number of players who arguably are surplus to requirements. Kali Sen went completely missing at the end of last season. So something's going on there. It seems like he'll probably move on one way or another this summer. Sonjay Hansen really struggled for game time. We just didn't see the best of him. So could we cut our losses on him? Could he be moved on for someone who's more of an ideal fit? Even someone like Jeremy Sarmiento, we only signed him in January, but there was an obligation to make that deal permanent. That will happen this summer. But again, we didn't really see a huge amount from him. So either he could potentially move on, or if not, it's going to be a big, big pre-season for him, because there's a number of players who really need to show what they're about if they want to be part of Kim Hellberg's plans this season. I think in attack, there's going to be a lot of opportunities, but I think there's going to be a lot of change around there as well. I think there's going to be a lot of new faces coming in. I think we're going to be seeing some flying out and out wingers. I think last season, far too often our players were cutting inside. It was very, very narrow. It was really hard to break teams down when you're doing that. I think the ideal, from my point of view, but also from Kim Hellberg's point of view, will be that we maybe bring in a couple of wingers who are more fast and direct, and are players who are going to go on the outside. So a left footer on the left flank, a right footer on the right flank, someone who's going to get round the sides of the other fullback, fizz balls into the penalty area and cause problems that way. Because when you are playing against these low blocks, you do need those kind of players who can just cut through it. They've got that burst of pace and they can do exactly that. I'm not saying it's going to be this player in particular, but someone of the profile of a Ben Doak, someone like that who just likes to get on the ball, get his head down, run at defenders, cause chaos. And I think that will be the sort of profile that we go for going into this season. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. It's going to be very interesting to see who joins this summer. It's going to be interesting to see what the team looks like by the time we get to August. I mean, what we're 25th of June at the moment. What we're talking about, like 6.5 weeks until the new season gets underway, which is that's not right. 7 weeks maybe. I don't know. I can't do the maths. But it's a little while until we get the season underway. But there's so much work that needs to be done before then. And I'll be really, really interested to see how that team looks on the opening weekend of the season against Lincoln City. Who will be moved on? Who will have arrived at that point? Will the team be the finished article, or will we still be in a position where in the last couple of weeks of August we're going to be needing to do a lot of business once again? We left it quite late last summer. A lot of new signings came in quite late on in the summer transfer window, so it'll be interesting to see whether that happens again. But yeah, just wanted to jump on, have a chat about these fixtures with you. As I said before, drop into the comments below. Let me know how you think Middlesbrough will get on in those first 5 fixtures against Lincoln, Blackburn, West Brom, Burnley and QPR. And let me know how excited you are for the upcoming season. And if you're going to be going to Celtic as well, that'd be a really, really good day out. So if you have enjoyed this, please do hit like, please do hit subscribe as well. And I will catch up with you next time.